You won't believe what's being said behind the scenes in the NFL. A big name, a well-established star, could be about to change uniforms, and the destination could be Las Vegas. That's right, the Raiders' offense could get a new look, and we're not talking about just any player. We're talking about Terry McLaurin, a veteran wide receiver for the Washington Commanders, who is going through a critical moment with his current franchise, and time is running out. McLaurin, who has been the driving force behind Washington's passing game since 2019, wants a contract extension that's in line with his production. But the Commanders board has, so far, adopted a cool attitude. Tensions have increased in recent weeks. Training camp is approaching, and what once seemed like a stalled negotiation is now bordering on an impasse. Insider Albert Breer confirmed there's a lot of work to be done, and it doesn't seem like the Commanders are in a hurry to resolve it. Jaden Daniels, the franchise's new quarterback, has a good relationship with McLaurin. They communicated off the field, exchanged mutual support, but even he confirmed that the business side is working its way through. Coach Dan Quinn also acknowledged McLaurin's importance, but there were no guarantees of a solution. All of this is a sign that patience is running out, and a trade could be the next chapter. And that's where the Raiders come in with a vengeance. Fox Sports' David Hellman put it bluntly. If I had to pick a perfect time for McLaurin, it would be Vegas. And the reasons are clear. The Raiders are assembling an exciting lineup of experience. Geno Smith as an experienced quarterback, Brock Bowers as the hot sensation at tight end, Ashton Jeanty emerging as a potential star in the backfield. Jacoby Myers provides consistency, but they lack a vertical weapon, someone who changes the game with a single catch, and McLaurin is that name. Imagine an offense with Myers, Bowers, Jeanty, and McLaurin. It would be an explosive combination, balancing youth, experience, and speed. Furthermore, under Pete Carroll, the Raiders' offensive system is evolving in intensity and execution. Adding a player like McLaurin would be like burning a fuse with gasoline. And the timing? It couldn't be better. Washington hasn't signed the player yet, and Vegas could take advantage of this window. Sending a draft pick or two to secure an elite wide receiver at his physical and technical peak could be the difference between just competing and actually contending for the postseason. And if the Raiders really want to make that leap, they can't waste any time, because on the other side of the ball, there's another crucial issue being ignored, the Kolton Miller situation. And if the front office doesn't act quickly, the offense we're building could be without its most important foundation. Let's talk now about the armor that holds all of this together, and why it needs to be revamped immediately. While the NFL's eyes are on potential high-impact acquisitions like Terry McLaurin, there's a quiet but extremely strategic urgency that needs to be addressed behind the scenes at the Raiders, and it goes by the name of Kolton Miller. The starting left tackle and leader of the offensive line is about to enter the final year of his contract with the franchise. And if the front office doesn't act now, it risks losing not only one of the most consistent players in the NFL, but also the stability of the entire offense. Kolton Miller isn't just another player in the rotation. He's literally the anchor of the offensive system. Since being drafted in the first round in 2018, Miller has been a model of consistency. He plays with determination, leads by example, and delivers even in the face of defeats. In 2024, his pass blocking success rate was 88.1%, according to ESPN. And in 2023, it rose to 89.4%. Not bad for someone who plays one of the most difficult positions in the game. But it's not the performance that's concerning, it's the silence. Miller will be out of his current contract at the end of the 2025 season, and if he hits free agency, he'll be in the running for half the league. A player with his experience, leadership, and production won't be available for long. Teams looking to strengthen their offensive line will be aggressive with offers, and the Raiders can't afford to be in that competition. They need to secure his tenure now. Miller himself has made it clear that he wants to stay. During minicamp, he was blunt. "I want to be a Raider for life. I know only one way to do that. Show up every day and get better." His connection with new coach Pete Carroll is also evident. Miller has bought into the coach's philosophy of competition and internal development. He's become a natural mentor to the young players on the OL and serves as a point of reference in the locker room. Losing him now would be like building a luxury home on a duffel. You can add Geno Smith, McLaurin, Bowers, and Jeanty, but if the foundation isn't solid, it could all come crashing down in January. And Miller is that foundation. The truth is that the Raiders front office has already made smart moves in 2025. They bet on youth in the draft, brought in a top coach, and added talent in key positions. But letting the most experienced player on the line run free until the end of his contract would be a planning mistake with huge consequences. Securing Miller's renewal isn't just about keeping a great player. It's about protecting the investment that was made in the entire offensive system. It's about ensuring playing time for Geno Smith, space for Jeanty to run, and security for Bowers and Myers to shine. And it's not just about avoiding a loss, it's about preparing for what's ahead. Because the real challenge is on the horizon. The trenches will become a war every week, and what the Raiders' schedule has in store for the 2025 season season is worthy of an action movie, with the most brutal defensive lines in the NFL lurking. The Raiders' mission will face true monsters on the other side of the line. If the Raiders' offense wants to shine in 2025, it needs to understand one thing right now. It won't be easy to get past the walls that stand in its way. The NFL has released the rankings of the league's best defensive lines, and what lies ahead looks like a veritable sequence of video game bosses. With Geno Smith at the helm, Brock Bowers becoming a reality, and Jonte exploding in the backfield, the Raiders' offense has everything it needs to get going. But opposing defenses promise to turn every game into a physical and mental battle. And we're not exaggerating. Pro Football Focus revealed that of the 10 best front sevens in the NFL, the Raiders will face 6 during the season. That includes true nightmares for any offensive line. And that's exactly where Kolton Miller's renewal becomes even more vital. Because without him, this journey could turn into a nightmare. The first big wall comes in Week 15 against the Philadelphia Eagles on frozen ground. Even after losing names like Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, the unit led by Vic Fangio remains lethal. In 2024, the Eagles' defense generated pressure without blitzing on 36% of plays, the 5th highest mark in the league. With Jalen Carter dominating the interior and Moro Ojomo emerging as a surprise force, this pass rush requires discipline and talent, exactly what Kolton Miller represents. Next up is a double challenge against an old acquaintance, the Denver Broncos. The Orange Crush defense is younger, faster, and more aggressive. There will be 2 direct confrontations with a direct impact on the division table. Both games, in weeks 10 and 14, promise to be a brawl in the trenches and decisions defined in the details. But if you thought it ended there, get ready. In week 16, just 4 days before Christmas, the Raiders face the Texans. Houston has assembled one of the most dangerous edge-rushing duos in the NFL, with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Hunter is coming off an 84.6 PFF grade season, and Anderson is already among the league's top 10 defenders. Houston's only weakness? The interior of the defensive line. And that's where the Raiders' running game can come in, as long as there's solid protection on the flanks. Another brutal test is scheduled for Week 17 against the New York Giants. Despite their inconsistent campaigns, the Giants have strengthened in a frightening way. Kayvon Thibodeau, Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns form an explosive trio. And not center? Dexter Lawrence, the monster on the DL, who even though he was injured in 2024, still finished as the 3rd best DT in the league. This game will be at Allegiant Stadium, but the difficulty level will be playoff level. And there's more. The Raiders still face the Cleveland Browns and the Chargers, in addition to a visit to the Commanders, who, despite not being in the top 10, will seek redemption in the rankings after a below-average 2024. Fortunately, it's not all despair. The schedule also offers breathing spaces. Duels against the Jaguars and Commanders should allow the offense to breathe, adjust, and try to score big. Now, stop and think about the big picture. A promising offense being assembled. Rumors of a possible arrival of McLaurin. A renewal for Miller still pending. And this concrete wall week after week. It's a brutal reminder that it's not enough to dream big. You have to be ready for war. Because in the NFL, games are won in the trenches. And in 2025, the Raiders won't be in the center of the battlefield. Every snap will be a fight. Every drive, a test of endurance. And every victory, one step closer to returning glory to Las Vegas. Do you think Las Vegas should go all in on trading Terry McLaurin, locking in Kolton Miller's immediate re-signing, and trusting that this offense has the muscle to handle the NFL's most brutal defenses in 2025?